Okay.
Just to authorize the recording.
Okay.
So again, we thank you for your time again. And I have a few questions from me and my co-host in the podcast, that is Reserva Imovision, from the distributor Imovision that distribute your movies in here in Brazil. And I'll try to be as short as possible for us to be able to have more, even more from you in our time together. The first one is a kind of a double question, but combined. Do you think the fans can maybe get a big picture or a different feeling watching your movies in chronological order at the streamings, such as our Reserva Imovision? And you, do you watch again your movies after a little while? How do you feel revisiting your body of work at the same place online?
Okay. For me, it's very hard to see my own movies, because, the editing table, for example, after shooting, it's like the pathology. The movie is then like a crime, and you find the mistakes and the wounds. And the other thing is, it's also kind of narcissistic to say I can't see my own movies and so on, because they're so bad, and this I don't like. But after 10, 12 years, it's possible for me to see my movies again and find a distance to them. And it's always good to see, for example, I was in France some years ago, and they show, in France, they have a cinematographic education. Mm-hmm. There's 1 week in the year where all the pupils can go to cinema and looking at movies, and discuss the movies, and they discussed it on a very good way, and I like this type of education. And so I went to France too, and I saw a movie by what I've made 20 years ago, Die innere Sicherheit, which was the name of the movie, and I see it together with young pupils between 12 and 14 years old, and this is possible. Then I can talk, because I have a new perspective. But the other thing is to see my own movies. It's a little bit like masturbation. You don't have to.
And for the fans to find all of them in one place now, chronologically.
On the streaming platform, for example. I like to see, for example, my movies were on Mubi. It's a streaming platform in Europe, and then I see that there are other authors, female and male, who, for example, Kelly Reichardt. All the movies of Kelly Reichardt, you can see. I love this. I love her too, and I love the movies. And to see them all together in a chronological way, for me, it's education. It's something I like it very, very well, and it's very good. You can books. You can buy all the books, but you can't buy all the movies. It's a big problem. So, and to learn something about movie, it's about the history of cinema. It's fantastic to see the whole work of someone in a chronological way. This I like very much.
Yeah, I agree. For the next question, in your films, the past is never something remote. It's always in the present, even in the period films. Do you think it has to do with being from Berlin, where the past is inescapable? And this is said from a country that forgets its past, that is Brazil, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, I saw a movie by Glauber Rocha, sometimes ago. It was very interesting that you can see at the end of the 60s, you have a cinema in Germany and you have a cinema in Brazil who has a correspondence with each other based on Bertolt Brecht and based on Pasolini and so on. And this is interesting. I think nowadays you don't have this collaboration. We have movies all as if the same script doctor is working in Brazil and in Germany, the same dialogues, the same types. This is a little bit boring and disappointing. But I forgot the question.
The past. No, of course. The past is always present in your films. It's not remote. Is it because Berlin has its past in inescapable form?
Yeah, I remember my best friend Harun Farouki, who died 7 years ago. I think we have many walks together and thinking about our work, and we are writing together, I think 12, 13 scripts. Yeah? And we are walking through Berlin, and he asked me a fantastic question. He said, what ruins are from the war and what ruins are from peace in Berlin? You can see the ruins that the neoliberal capitalistic world creates. They destroyed houses and rebuilt houses, and you see the ruins of the war. Yeah? And so both things are in Berlin. Yeah? And I think all over the world you can ask a question like this. Yeah? What ruins are from contemporary and what ruins are from the history? Yeah? And both are in the same moment, yeah, in front of you. And I think cinema is always contemporary, always. Yeah? And I don't like movies who want to say to you, we are a movie as if we had lived in the 18th century. This doesn't work. And for example, Barry Lyndon by Kubrick it's a contemporary movie about parvenus and so on. Yeah? And also in Pulp Fiction, you have old movies in contemporary times, and yes, you have things from the 30s and 40s in our times with boxers, prostitutes, and so on. And but in Berlin, it's totally concrete. Yeah? You can see it in front of you that the times are there in the same moment. Yeah? And so I think cinema is like this. It shows old things in the modern world and modern things in the old world. Both are in correspondency to each other.
Like transit.
Yeah, like transit. This is,
Perfect
transit.
example.
First, I tried to make a period picture from transit. Yeah? I want to create Marseille in the 40s, and I was totally bored about this. Yeah? And I stopped the work on transit and make 2 crime movies, police stories, and then one morning during the shower, I have the best ideas under the shower. Therefore,
me too.
But therefore, I have to go under the shower, I think 10, 12 times a day to create some ideas. Yeah? I have this idea, like I told you, when I go through Berlin, we have memory stones in front of the houses, yeah? With names of the Jewish people who had lived in these houses and were killed by the fascism. Yeah? And so all my son and my daughter always they stand in front of the houses and they're reading the names. Yeah, and sometimes the boys and girls on these stones have the same age like my son and my daughter. So there's a correspondency between them. They are thinking about the old times in our contemporary times, and this something had to do with cinema, I think.
This follow-up this question that how is it your creative process from the start of an idea, and if you tend to create your movies in thematic trilogies or if they fit together only afterwards?
It's something afterwards. It's so when we create transit, yeah, and the actors and we are walking through Marseille and think about and showed them the shooting places, and we have our rehearsals and we have seen old movies and so on. These are like seminars. My rehearsals are like seminars. Yeah? So during our discussions, our discourse, yeah, we have ideas for. There are other doors we can go through, but we can't go there through these doors because we have this script in front of us. But this door is interesting, and after finishing a shooting, we are thinking about the next door. Yeah? And so trilogy starts. And the other thing is I'm Protestant from birth. So, you know, Protestants always have to work. We can't sleep. We have to work, to work, to work. And so the idea of a trilogy is to still work on and on and on. And I don't like it. I don't want to make trilogies anymore because I want to have
But I love the metaphysics in your logical creation, because sometimes you invert the process in other movie. So they are connected in a sense, not only by the characters, but the language also. You try to do something that you didn't before, but it's connected with something you did. It gives an idea. So I love this. So this is kind of the next question. You have reality and fantasy in your movies. There is something of a magical realism, but there are never something obvious in a movie genre. It's not just a thriller or just a fantasy or just a horror like the Undine tale. So how is it to create this balance, and where does this combination come from?
You know, one of the most popular and famous movements in the history in the German was the Romantic time, in the 18th and 19th century. And in this time, the industrialization of Germany starts. And the Romantics, they want to find myths, legends, fairy tales. There is a very, very popular poem by Joseph von Eichendorff, one famous romantic novelist and poet. I have to make a translation in English. It's like this. Sleeps a song and thinks abounding, that keeps dreaming to be heard. Earth's tunes will start resounding if you find the magic word. This is the 18th and 19th century. And for me, we can't go back to this time, with fantastic little ponds, forests, beautiful girls. It's not only a cliche, it's nothing. So, but many movies try to do this. But I want to find the things in our contemporary times. A little bit like Edward Hopper is also a romantic painter. But he finds the beauty and the loneliness and the melancholia. He finds it in his contemporary world, in a woman on a window, in a cinema, at a petrol station. And so we have to find these things in our world. We have to find it. And so I have a romantic attitude, but I don't want to recreate or create a retro world, where I want to find it in our times. So in Undine, for example, the train station, where they kiss with each other. This train station is a very ugly place, and when I went there with the actors, they are totally disappointed. There's nothing here. It's a very ugly place. But I said we have to re-enchant this place. Train stations in further times are fantastic places of kisses, of separation of couples, of people who are waiting for their love. But now the train stations are ugly. How we can tell the old stories in these ugly modern train stations? And this is the thing we have to do, to find the beauty, or like in the poem by Eichendorff, we have to find the magic word. This is the thing we have to do.
Is that why you like so much melodramas and love stories? And talking about this is also because Berlin is a divided country in history, and does it leave a mark to be told in melodramas and love stories?
Yes, it's so, to live in Berlin, it's an old legendary city. In the 20s and at the beginning of the 30s, I think it was the cultural center in the world. And it was totally destroyed by fascism and war and and they separated, and there were 4 parts in Berlin, and there was no industry anymore. Yeah, and so Berlin doesn't have an identity. Yeah, it's a construction. Yeah, and it's also a boring construction. But Berlin's always on. Berlin, the city, has a desire to reconstruct itself. Yeah? And to see and to follow their way of reconstruction is interesting for the camera, for the microphones, for the writers, for the pencils. Yeah? So this is therefore I'm living here, because it's a laboratorium. Yeah?
I love this. This is the metamorphosis that I see in your movies. They are always changing and transforming. So that is the next question. Since you have most female leads in your movies, how is it to make that metamorphosis with these changing creatures that start in a male point, in some kind of a representation from social structure, but they move along, they move places? And do you feel like they start a little suspicious and afraid to open up, but they are a reflection of the women in society in this male structure, or is it specifically about German women?
No, it's not about specific about German women, because I think cinema is always international, no? And it's telling the story of your own country, but it's international. It's an international view. 1.5 years ago, I was part of the jury in Venice, and I received an award there. Yeah? The award for Women in Cinema Award. Yeah? And I was a little bit ashamed about that, yeah? Because I'm not a woman, yeah? And I think they want to cheat me a little bit, yeah? With this award. And so, but then they said to me, it's because all these female characters in your movies, you will receive this award. And I have to tell something, yeah, in front of the microphones and in front of the audience. And I remember that when the first time I was at the Venice Film Festival, I was young, yeah? And I was there, I think it was in competition, and I was there in the hotel, and in the breakfast room, Claude Chabrol is sitting on the next table, and he had an interview there. Yeah? And in this interview, he said, I was hearing, yeah? He said a fantastic sentence. He was asked, they asked him the same question. They asked him, why are in your movies, why are all the main characters mostly women? Yeah? It's Stefano Dron, Romy Schneider, yeah? Isabelle Huppert, yeah? And his answer was so great. He said, men are living, women are surviving, yeah? And cinema is about surviving. And this, I think, I like very much. For me, it's to see how a world is working. You can see when you make a portrait of a woman.
So beautiful, so beautiful. I even hesitate to ask a last question, if I may, because those are words so beautiful. But speaking about Chabrol, that worked a lot with the same actresses, you also have some signature artists. So how is it to cast them? And if you write thinking about Nina Ross, Paula Beer, Franz Hagowitz, I don't know if I pronounced the name right, but how is it for you to cast, and if you write thinking about them?
But something is fantastic when I met actors like Franz or Paula Beer or Nina Hoss, and I want to work with them on and on. Yeah? The next scripts I'm writing, I have them in my mind. I have their photos in front of me, and I'm writing the script for them, with them, and it's not. I don't write something and looking for with a casting agent for someone who can play it. I write it for them. And for example, the next movie is also with Paula Beer, which we will do in June. And I have 2 or 3 walks together with her, and I'm telling her the story. Yeah? And I see how she reacts and how she's thinking about the character. And so I changed a little bit, and she changed also a little bit. It's a really fantastic collaboration. It's not something, it's not this casting atmosphere. Yeah, that I'm a chef and a chief, and there are some actors, and I said yes, no, I'll give you a call, and so on. It's something like ensemble work. Yeah, it's a collective work, and I think when you see the history of cinema, the most important movies are created like this. You have James Gray and Joaquin Phoenix. You have
Marcello Mastroianni.
Mastroianni and Fellini. Yeah, you have James Stewart and Alfred Hitchcock or Anthony Mann and so on. And so, or Uma Thurman and
Tarantino.
Yeah. So there is something. Yeah. This I think it's nothing to do with sexual desire and love. Perhaps, I don't know. I don't think about this. It's something to do that we are in a collective way of telling stories, and cinema has to do something with industry, collective work. Yeah, it's not like painting, writing books. Yeah, it's something very modern. Therefore, it's the best art in the world, I must say. Yeah, the modern thing.
I agree, totally agree, and I would love to see Paula and Nina in the next movie all together. Oh my God, they are a goddess for me, and so I love them very much, and with your work. But if I may, my partner is asking one last question. Can I? She's with me with WhatsApp, so she asked one more. Can I?
Yeah, you can.
She asked about the trauma. There are so much trauma in your work, and now we have a collective and common trauma in the world, that is pandemic, and it is alongside with a lot of stuff like conservative governments that worked the worst case scenario with pandemic, so it was even worse with them, and etc., etc. How is it for you that this trauma can change the way of seeing movies, or even about seeing the old movies, seeing them again in this new light? Do you think trauma in your movies have changed a little with this new trauma, this common trauma in the world?
It was like this, that the last year I was infected with this virus, and I had to lay down in bed for more than 4 weeks, and I was working on a dystopia story. Yeah, it's after 3 weeks in bed, I said to myself, I hate dystopia stories. The movies I've seen in this time when I'm laying in bed were by Eric Romer, Claude Chabrol, and many melodramatic things from the 50s, from the USA, Leo McCarey, Robert Syed-Mack, and Douglas Sirk.
I rewatched Polanski and Chantal Ackerman because of the Wicklow. There are a lot of apartment movies for the 2 of them. So I thought pandemic apartment movies, oh my God, it changed everything.
I have made the same experience. And so I changed everything, and the next movie is not about dystopia. It's about love and desire. It's about a group of young people who have their in the summertime in the forest. They have the holidays, and the forests are burning, and also their feelings and their sexual desire is burning, and both fires are getting out of control. This I was more interesting in, and so it changed everything, and the dystopia thing away, and I think when I see my son and my daughter, they both are studying. They haven't seen their university. Never. They were never in their university because it's closed. It's everything like Zoom. And their desire for touching, for body, for smell, it's so deep. that I think cinema is the art to find our bodies back after this pandemic. Yeah?
I don't have anything more to say after that. Thank you very much. It was such an honor.
Great. Thank you
and
very
I
much.
hope seeing you again in Berlin.
I hope so. We will do it. Okay. Thank you very much. Bye.
From Brazil.
Yeah, from Berlin too. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.